Hey, what's up, you guys? Shemar here. So, the other day I did a self portrait and I realized that I post a lot of art, but I never really post the process. So, after drawing that self portrait, I decided to make a digital version of it so that I could kind of record that process. It was my first time using this specific art program at all. I hadn't even touched a digital art program in years because I'm so ram headed on drawing with my hands that I ended up never learning anything else. So this was going to be kind of difficult. So first, I took my hand drawing online. Then I used Photoshop and taking a photo of my drawing where the lines are either black or starkly different from the background. I utilized the quick selection tool to select the white area, and I then selected the similar white areas to roughly get everything except my drawing. So with that, I inverted this selection so it would grab my drawing, and then I masked it. Ooh, I can't say that word. Blah. And then I masked it. Masked. And then I masked it. Ew, why can I not say this word? And then I did select and mask so that it came out sharper and cleaner with a little bit of editing, and then copied the layer in order to save it as a usable PNG. And that's just your specific image with a transparent background. And thankfully, after that, we can take that PNG over to Krita, the digital art studio we're using, and not the sponsor of today's video. That is a hint, Krita. So first, I started with a bit of an outline or a rough draft. And for some reason, this was almost the hardest part. Dude, that shoulder. Then I took a break, because goodness gracious. And more hair. Right hand, you doing okay? And then something happened. The ding dong time lapse recorder I was using somehow paused while I was filming. I missed so much of a vital part of the process, and I later realized that I might have accidentally done something, but still, nonetheless. But as you can see, the base is pretty much laid. There's a brown skin tone base with some basic shadow and highlight. Mostly everything is in color, but still pretty flat. So technical ding dong aside, I continued to add shadow, highlight, and other forms of depth to the drawing. I mentioned that I missed such a vital part of the process, and part of it was the blending technique that I was using. Again, I haven't done digital art in a while, so it was difficult to make things look how I wanted in comparison to how I normally, draw by hand and getting it to come out exactly how I want it to because I'm working by hand, So blending was very confusing at first, but as you'll see, I kind of like to grab the color that I want to shade, darken it lower, and then sort of make that shade, like make a line out of that shade. It's gonna look really split at first, of course, but then I'll use the eyedropper and grab the color right where the two meet. Then I'll lower the opacity just low enough to give it a softer touch when you're painting with it. Just enough to feather the colors, but not enough to make another harsh line, just enough to make it soft and feathered, but not enough to make it like super harsh so that it gives it that blended look. And I'll keep eyedropping and grabbing the color in between when I need to, just because the colors shift in the most minuscule and small ways around the art. And I want to get every variation that I can in order to mix and blend and make that soft blend. I found this technique can be pretty reliable, and it helps me out the best, especially if you're using the airbrush or any airbrush of some sort. After all that beautiful blending madness, I started to clean up the edges. Now normally I'd find a way to clip the drawing ahead of time so that I wouldn't have to do this, a process where the colors become constrained to specific lines instead of going outside of the lines. So basically, it helps you keep the color inside the lines, But I didn't have the patience to figure that out before I filmed. So instead, we're gonna use our rubber eraser on some paint. More hair. Right hand, you will be missed. Slightly frustrating to do, but it did feel kind of pretty coming out on the other side. So with that, I'm just gonna let him finish that up right there and then show it to you once he's done. Thank you guys so much for watching.